Okay, that might be an immediate crisis averted. What I've been doing is walking where I believe the water line is and looking for a significant leak. I am really confused because there's a water leak somewhere in our line. Don't know where it is. Now, if it was just the gray house down the hill, we're not living in it, we're currently renovating it, wouldn't be the end of the world. But there's actually 2 other people in this spring. It's a shared spring. It's on our land. And one of them is completely without water right now. Now, I'm the last one who touched this water line. Folks that have lived out here their whole lives, or much of their lives. So I touched the water line last. I'm not saying anyone's acting improperly or anything. Everyone is very pleasant, polite, kind about it. And even myself, just the fact that I touched the water line last when I dug in the yard makes me question, like, did I do something wrong? And the short answer there, I think, is no. There's not a leak in our yard, and that's where I did all my work. So what that leaves is the spring is 200 yards that way, the reservoir is about 100 yards that way, and the house 75 yards. So this is about a 150 yard water line from there, where I know it is, through this pasture somewhere, and no one actually knows. I've talked to all the people who might have been around when it was buried, or actually it was probably buried before they were involved, and they do not know exactly where it is. So the challenge here is just, this could be like a $10,000 ditch witch, plumbing, new line. It might not be quite that much job, and I don't even know where the line is. So what we've been doing this morning is just, first of all, I rechecked all my connections, and then we're headed up here. I think I might have found a spot that's leaking where I think the water line is. I don't actually see water moving here now, but what we did is we ditched out here and we ditched out the creek there to try to eliminate any natural travel from the creek from up here slightly higher through the soil that could be emerging here. Currently I don't see anything here. I'm going to go peek at the reservoir again. So what happened is, neighbor called, said the neighbor down the hill has no water this morning. I came right down and checked all of my stuff, and I think we left the hose running yesterday, which has happened once or twice, but that will empty the reservoir after many hours. The problem is that after shutting the water off yesterday afternoon, finding it on, the reservoir should fill up in like an hour or two, completely full. But this morning, I came up to the reservoir. The reservoir's almost empty. All right, so here's the reservoir. Some small good news is that we've gained some water level in here. Over a period of an hour and a half this morning, I came up 3 times. It was exactly the same level, right at the outlet pipe, which tells me that we were losing water down the hill at the same rate as trickling in, which you can hear is significant. Enough to keep the reservoir full. Okay, that might be an immediate crisis averted, which is my neighbor not having water and us not knowing where it's going. I'm gonna have to come up here in just a little while and check again. What I've been doing is walking where I believe the water line is and looking for a significant leak, which I do not see. That's what we're looking for down below. What I'm looking for is just swampy soil, because if it's not filling at all, that means that pipe is leaking at the same rate that it's coming in, that's like a running hose. So over a day or two, it's gonna create a swamp. The problem is there's spots like this where I believe this water line runs right down here. Spots like this where there's already a little creaky here, a little baby creek. Then there's a trickle at the low spots, and if the pipe runs through here and it's leaking here, you'd never know. Because there's already water running there, just on the surface. So I'm just walking, I'm searching again here. And again, the challenge is I'm searching where I think the water line runs. So this is one of the challenges. You know, the spring is an amazingly simple system. Theoretically requires almost no maintenance, and what I'm afraid of is that we're just hitting that, you know, like 30 or 40 year mark. I don't know exactly, but hitting that mark where, since they buried this 150 yard pipe, and it might actually be the time for that like 30-40 year maintenance, which is a brand new line. So we'll see. Guys, a quick and exciting announcement. I've teamed up with my brothers to start a brand called Harken Home. More information on that I'll put in a video up here or here if you want to see it. We have our first Amazon product coming out soon, and it's these beautiful macrame placemats. You've seen them in a video. On December 3rd, we're going to do a giveaway of the placemats and some little birdhouse decorations, which Christmas tree decorations, which my brothers and I recently made, and my brothers are about to complete. They won't look exactly like this, but you get the idea. They'll be a little bit more finished. These were just prototypes. And then these placemats will go online on Amazon, hopefully by December 8th, in sets of 4, and the remaining birdhouses that we haven't given away already will also be for sale on December 8th as well. So that's the announcement. Okay, back to that spot we were digging a minute ago. It's wet here, but it's not coming out actively like it was earlier, which makes me think this isn't a pipe leak, it's just subterranean water that we just rerouted easily. And by subterranean water, if you look right here, the creek actually runs into the ground down here. Here you can hear it. There's no surface creek, but you can hear it. Listen. It's under rock, and it's basically dry here, 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 and then it reemerges right here. I guess the immediate emergency is averted for now. I'm still really confused. I did dig up this spigot. Wasn't completely buried, but I dug it up this morning. Dug out all the soil that was there to protect it from freezing. And there's a minuscule leak there. It's minuscule. It's not enough to make this area swampy or anything. And that's what I was looking for, so I was like, no, there's no problem here. It still leaves me confused. I think there's another leak somewhere. That's what's confusing to me. But there's water pressure now, which means everyone has water. Okay, I just got a phone call. I can almost cry with relief. It's been stressful for me this morning. It's stressful because I feel like, you know, I don't want to do something to wrong other people. And I was worried that it was something I had done. I haven't driven any fence posts that could break that line. But I did 2 months ago, cut the line, move the line, rebury a line. I'm like, man, could there be a leak in there? Anyway, just got a phone call, huge relief. The neighbor, another neighbor who's on the spring, said she took the back off her toilet this morning trying to figure out, and her toilet was overflowing. She couldn't hear it, but it was overflowing pretty rapidly. So she's got that shut off. That's probably why the reservoir now has a couple inches. So disaster averted. My tiny dripping leak, I have a tiny dripping leak. I'm gonna have a plumber friend come out and help me with that, but I can relax now a little bit, and I'll just run up and check that reservoir once more and call them, call my neighbors and let them know where that reservoir has filled up to. Hopefully it's full and overflowing. I'll bring you along for that. It's 5:30 in the evening. We're coming back to check the water situation. Okay, first of all, my little leak down here, it's not even dripped. I mean, it's not filled this hole or anything. It's insignificant. We are going to check what's going on with water. That's pretty good pressure. You might wonder why I'm carrying a rifle while I'm doing chores and checking the spring. It's because it's rifle hunting season for deer, and I would like to put 1 or 2 in the freezer, but I'm not going to invest a significant amount of time into it. I would like Grace to put one in the freezer, and several times walking on the homestead I have regretted not having a rifle during daylight hours, and this is like prime hunting time while we do the evening chores here. So we'll see. I got my earplugs, I got my rifle unloaded, of course. Okay, let's talk about springs for a minute. What is a spring? A spring is basically where the groundwater, the subterranean water, breaks the surface of the ground for the first time. So it's the top of a creek. Around here, every creek has a spring at the head of it. And they call a stream a branch. It's like they're branches of trees. And at the tip of every twig is a spring. I think of it as God's water, because it's the water He delivered right out of the ground to drink. And generally, if you are on a mountain and you know it's uphill from you and you can see the water coming out of the ground, you can drink it safely. So why are springs advantageous for homesteading, survival, self-sufficiency? It's because springs work on gravity. There's 2 ways people around here, throughout history would capitalize a spring. One is our system. Spring, reservoir, gravity fed to a tap. The other big way, which is much older, is people would build what's called a spring house. And it's kind of like a root cellar, but it's different. It's built over a spring. And they would store things like that day's milk sitting in water in a little trough. You can find these all over. There's one actually, there's a real nice old one with a stone arch about half a mile down that way, built back into the hillside. There's water running out of it. But springs are gravity only. You could have a pump in the system. The cool thing about it, though, is that on winters past, when we've had big storms and the power goes out and we had a wood stove, we would still have heat, the ability to cook, and running water. It's a very good feeling. It was actually really fun when the power would go out, because the water keeps flowing. You can just keep on living normal. So we're very much dependent, or rather will be and have been dependent, on this spring functioning. So I have high hopes that this reservoir is full of water. We don't have a major leak anywhere. All right, we'll walk up there now. You ready to go?
Are you up the end?
We're gonna go all the way to the reservoir. Have you ever seen it? Justice, have you seen the reservoir? Let's go see it. This is where our drinking water comes from.
Have you been up here?
I have been up here before. I've been up here actually 5 times today already. 5 times today. What is craziness?
What a fun dada.
What a fun daddy. You're so sweet. I often wish I was a better dad. I love you so much. I love you guys so much. Okay, we're here Careful, guys. Oh man. Dang it. Oh, it's so frustrating. So the reservoir is not empty, but it's basically at empty. That means there's a leak somewhere. Well, I was so worried this morning. I was so relieved when I got that phone call that neighbor's toilet was running. I was like, that's gotta be it. But I know she's had her toilet shut off today. So now we're back to spring is just an incredible survival, self-sufficiency resource. But like some others, it's not something you can just call a plumber out to fix. And we're talking like probably 400 feet of pipe in the ground and no apparent leaking. I've got no leak in my line. So somewhere, seemingly, water's leaving the system starting last night or in the past couple days. Whew. Come on, buddy, let's go. You're a big boy. Little farm boy. Okay, this is what it looks like. My lens is all fogged up. That's just okay. You don't need to see the details. This is what it looks like when when your wife goes to the grocery store. You've spent most of your day working on water issues.
And you need to find a deer.
Plus helping your daughter track a deer in the dark. That's in another video a little while out. And you have twins, and she's upstairs watching the twins. She just got home from the grocery store. Usually they get put away right away, but right now she is tied up, and I've been tied up, and I'm not quite done outside. Okay, so I'm gonna help the kids put away groceries. Bree's taking care of the twins upstairs, and then I'm gonna head down the hill. I've got a couple things to do. I've talked to the neighbors. I've got some new info. Here we go. Okay, the groceries are away. Mostly. Okay, the conclusion of the story of the spring for now is I talked to all the neighbors again, and the one neighbor's toilet sounds like the other one is actually running. So I shut off the water up at my place, and I'm gonna go shut it on in the morning, check the reservoir. Hopefully that reservoir will be brimming full, and the only thing that will need to happen is have a commode fixed. Guys, thanks for joining us. We will see you soon. Goodbye.